Hi yogis, welcome back to another episode of RunYogi Diaries. This is your host Santosh Shiva. I hope you had a wonderful week and you also got some time to play, swim, bike, run, whatever is your thing. Every week I bring you conversations with people who are on a journey of well-being and endurance. I hope they spark some possibility in you, leave you with some tips and perhaps some inspiration to perspire. If you like this channel, consider subscribing to it, hit like if you like this video, and leave your comments below and let us know what you think. This episode is also available on all major podcast platforms if audio is your thing. If there is someone who demonstrates living one's life fully, it's my guest today. She embodies the mindset of can do and must do, and she is one of the few who gets the big picture. Her journey of running and hiking is not merely about physical fitness, it's transcendental. It's about finding herself and true joy through a higher order purpose. We get a chance to peek into her journey, the how and why, and the takeaways and nuggets of deep wisdom, her foray into mountain hiking, and what's next in her journey. Let's welcome Kanchan Kabad. Hi Kanchan, welcome to RunYogi Diaries.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure having you in the show. You are such a wonderful example of how to, lead a full life with all what you're doing. So we're going to get into all of that. You're a hiker, a runner. You're doing social community work in the area of cancer, and of course, you're also a professional. So before all of that, let me have you do a quick personal introduction, and then we'll jump in.
Oh, okay. Well, like you said, my name is Kanchan Kabad, and I live in Sugar Land, Texas. My profession is I work as a chief compliance officer for our own firm. We are in wealth management business. My daughter and my husband own it, and I'm a part of that. And I have two beautiful children. They are, of course, adults, and I have a grandbaby, 2-year-old. So, and I love to run, hike, and like you said, do the community work. I volunteer for a lot of organizations. And then I'm also a makeup artist. I worked at the University of Houston for 11 years in the drama department. And so, so I used to teach how to make costumes and teach dress designing and things like that. And so from there, since I had done my MBA here, I actually moved from India over here to do my MBA. And so because of that background, I got into financial planning business with my husband. So we've been here last 38 years. So this is home now. I've lived in US more than I've lived in India, I should say. So, but now I'm busy, one thing with my grandkid, then another thing is with my activities like running and hiking, which I enjoy. And I love to inspire people. If more people can join and do these things for fitness or for any reasons, I would love to inspire them in doing things.
Well, just being yourself, you're very inspirational, right? You're a great role model. Looking at you, people get inspired. Look at all the beautiful medals you have behind you. All of that is automatically inspiring, right?
Yeah.
Terrific.
So, Yeah, this is like I call it my wall of fame. And I sit here in my office, look at this, and I sometimes say, oh my god, did I really do all these marathons and hiking, and that itself inspires me, to do more.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
Terrific. So, seems like you're a pioneer in many ways, right? You came here to do MBA way back, much before a lot of the lot of the recent immigration from India has happened, the tech industry and stuff like that. You seem to have been one of the earlier ones.
Yes.
So let's get back and do a bit of a flashback here. Like how about with related to your fitness and running and hiking. So how did it all start? When did you get into running, and how did that come about?
Well, I should say it's quite recent. It's not that long, but of course, growing up, I was an athlete. So and my whole family is in sports. So that wasn't very different for me. But 2010, actually, it all started because of my dad, I should say, because my father, he had colorectal cancer, and it was, I mean, the survival rate for colorectal cancer is quite high. But unfortunately, he was in the hospital for 17 days, and going through that journey with him, it was very difficult, consoling my mom and my family. And so I had to be very strong, and uh, um, uh, answering the doctors and family and everything. So after he passed away, it was very difficult for me, and so one of my friends who had just started running a week before I did, she asked me, "Hey, Kanchan, do you want to come and run with me?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And I went for running with her. And just a year before that, my daughter had run the Chicago Marathon, and I had gone to cheer her. And I saw a guy who was like 72-year-old who was running the marathon. And so when my friend asked me, I said, "Hey, age is just a number, so why don't I start running?" So I started running, and I felt so good, and it kind of became like an outlet for my grievance, and started feeling much better, and now it is like more like a it's almost like a meditation for me,
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
run. And so I can just be within myself, and I don't hear anything, no music, no nothing. I just hear the nature, and so it's more of a meditation, and that helped me. And I think that's how I started my running. I mean, Mm, I think to do running or any kind of endurance sports, I think you have to have a reason. People
Yeah.
have reason like maybe for fitness or to lose weight or just for a competition. But I think cancer is,
Hmm.
my dad was my reason to start this sports. So yeah.
It's very gladdening that you were able to heal and feel better. But it's sorry to hear about your dad. And I'm glad that you found running as a reprieve, and you also used running to not just heal yourself, but you've been also doing using it to kind of spread the message of cancer prevention and things like that, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. I mean, I was involved, and of course, even now, I'm on an advisory board right now on the organization called IACAN, Indian American Cancer Network, and so that kind of became my passion, and so it felt good to help people who are affected by cancer. And so because of that, the other thing I started doing is that every run I do, every marathon I participate, I dedicate that to a cancer patient. And so what happens is if I dedicate to that cancer patient, I go to that person, I talk to them, and the very fact that when I say that, hey, I'm dedicating this to you, for your cancer journey. Just like how you take one day at a time, I'm going to run 1 mile at a time for you.
Mm.
And so that kind of inspires me. And I say, my running 26.2 miles is really nothing, compared to the pain that person is suffering. My pain is nothing. And so that itself helps me, you know putting the step forward
Yeah,
and
yeah,
run.
yeah,
So that's what I feel. uh,
yeah. It's
so that's
beautiful.
how,
That's so
yeah.
beautiful
So
because there's a bigger purpose to your running beyond just physical fitness, which is one level of operating,
exactly.
but you've taken it to another level. It's a higher purpose. It's beyond just your own selfish fitness.
Right.
It's about the community.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it's so beautiful, so beautiful. So
Yeah.
how did your running itself scale? Did you started and then did you just start running 10Ks, half marathons, and all that, or how did that build up?
It's so funny that you asked me. Actually, the very first run I did, I fainted. I collapsed after finishing 13.1 mile. Before that, I had just run one 5K. That's about it. And then I did not train myself, nothing, but I signed up for Houston Half, which is half marathon. And because my friends were also there, and I said, okay, I'm going to run. And I ran, and by the end of the run, I touched the finish line, and there I go. I just collapsed. And it was so scary because of course, my husband drove me home, and all that I know was I was sleeping, and I'm glad to see that next day I was awake, because not knowing how to take care of your body or what you should do, how you have to train, nothing. And I started running without anything. And so I learned a big lesson there, and so since then I said, no, I mean, the first thing is I have to make sure that my body can take that hit, running half marathons or full marathons or 30Ks or 25Ks or whatever it is, or in other words, the long runs.
Yeah.
So that's how I started by
And this
making
was
the.
when 2000. What year
This
was
was
this? Your first half
2000.
marathon?
My first one was 2011.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
let's
yeah,
let's
that's
tell the viewers, don't try that at home. Don't go
no.
run a half marathon.
No. I mean, there is so much to learn about
Yeah.
running. I mean, there is so much you have to take care of your body before you
Yeah.
run, and I mean, that's another chapter to talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
what did you incorporate in your lifestyle after that first half marathon? Is there anything you can tell the viewers, like maybe the top three practices you took on
yeah.
that
Actually,
helped you?
yeah. I think the first thing what I did was I joined a running club.
Hmm.
So I joined the Fort Benefit Running Club, which really, really helped me in that. And the second thing is I hired a personal trainer,
Hmm.
to like that. So even after 10 years, I still have a personal trainer. In fact, I just
Hmm.
finished training this morning and I came, So uh, that one. And then I learned so much about running, what you should do and what you should not
Hmm.
do, so, and I think it may feel really small things, but if you really follow those things, you can go a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 65 now, and I'm still running and doing the activities just like how I started
Hmm.
10 years back, because
Yeah.
I think the first thing is that I learned how to take care of yourself, you
Hmm.
know. So mm, b-
Yeah.
that
So
one, I
one
mean,
is that's a lot of gold. That's a lot of gold. One is finding a group. It's definitely very helpful. It kind of
right,
motivates you. And the
right,
second is, I think, as a personal trainer that you referred to, probably is putting you into certain workouts for strength training, balance, and
Right.
those kind of things,
Yes,
which is helping
exactly.
you, right, be
Right.
stronger runner,
Yeah.
right? And the
Right. Yeah.
last
I
part
mean,
which you said is, mhm, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
And the
Last part.
last part that you were saying was about just knowing running itself, like in terms of maybe good footwear, or maybe it's about good
Right.
stance and form,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, exactly.
biomechanics of running, right? All of that is what you're saying helped you
Yeah,
in.
absolutely. To start with hydration, nutrition, how
Mm,
much to drink water, before the run, during the run, and after the run.
right.
Then the nutrition, what you should take during the run, even, that you at what stage you have to eat something or
Mhm.
have some electrolytes, so all that is very, very important.
Yeah.
And like the way what you mentioned is about your shoes.
Mm,
People think that you have to have really good fitted shoe for
mm,
running. It's wrong, because when you run long distance, your feet swells. So
mm,
it's always better to have at least half to one size bigger shoes than what you
right.
wear, so that you have, your feet can swell into it.
Mhm,
First, in the beginning, actually I wear two size bigger shoes because
mhm.
my feet swells that much,
Yeah.
and you feel more comfortable, so you don't get leg pain if your shoes are comfortable.
Right.
So that is something that I learned. And also, um, about lubricating your
Mhm,
body when you run,
mhm,
because there are
mhm,
so many crevasses that you rub into,
mhm,
including your feet.
mhm.
Before you wear your socks, make it a point to put lots of Vaseline, or even the day 2 days before you have marathon, you put Vaseline onto your feet and put socks and sleep. So make your feet soft, that then you don't get blisters.
Yeah.
So things like that. I mean, this
Yeah.
may be a small thing, but
Yeah.
it's very important when you run. Like 4 days before the run, you start hydrating. Not that you don't hydrate during your
Yeah.
training, but the event itself is a whole different ball game.
Mhm,
When there is a crowd, your adrenaline is high, and you're like, and one thing you have to understand, that you're really not competing with anybody else. It's a competition within you, and finishing is more important. So
yeah.
then even you start slow and finish strong. People
Mhm,
like to start fast, and then they get tired, and then there is no energy left for them to finish you know
yeah.
so these are small little things, but these are the things, if you understand about yourself. And then also I can say about training. When you run, every day you run, you increase your runs, but then when the event is coming, you start tapering down. And then basically listen to your body, not to
Yep.
put not to, I mean, you have to push yourself, no doubt, but there is a limit.
Yep.
Listen to your body. If your body is tired, take 1 day or 2 days of rest, and then again start your run.
Right.
So yeah. And then also you mentioned, which I want to elaborate on, is your strength training.
Mm,
Strength training is so important, because then if you don't have strength training, then you will start your knee pain, your back
mm,
pain, and things like that kind of creeps up. But if you have strength training, like you strengthen your quads, your glutes, your hamstring, and even your upper body, for that matter,
mhm.
to to run. So all this is very important. And
Yep.
then the balance training, your right side should be equal to your left side, so that you have less injuries, you have less
Mm,
falls, while running. So
yep.
those are basic things that I think is very important when you run. And if you take care of those things, I think I can run till I die.
Yeah.
So
Beautifully said. And
Yeah.
what about nutrition and food? Did you make any adaptations to that? And especially, since like you said, you're a senior runner, and a lot of people have concerns. When they
Mhm.
reach their 50s. I mean, a lot of people start concerns when they reach 40. In fact,
Yeah, I know.
and
I
right,
know.
people start thinking they get old and they're 40, and but here you are, completely active and knock on wood. So, in terms of food, is there anything that you've done adapted differently as you've kind of got more active?
No, not really. I'm a vegetarian, actually. I
Hmm.
mean, I do eat eggs, and I used to eat fish, but I don't anymore. So, being a vegetarian, of course, you during the training period, you have to have more proteins
Hmm.
to build up your muscles, and then, but just about 2 to 3 days before you start loading carb, because
Yeah.
carb, I think, is very important for you, um, because that's the immediate energy. So you have carbs before your run, and then I'm very particular about taking electrolytes also.
Hmm.
I normally don't take Gatorade because it
Hmm.
has too much sugar, so I avoid that. But I take Endurolite tablets, which is the
Yeah.
electrolyte tablet, and so that helps me. And then I eat, of course, a lot of vegetables, and to get more minerals. And
Right.
then I do supplement with
Hmm.
magnesium and calcium, and of course, um, vitamin D for
Hmm.
bones. But then I'm very particular about eating either bars, any kind of a Cliff Bars or anything.
Hmm.
But actually, I like to eat dates
Hmm.
because the dates have good source of carb as well as iron,
Yeah.
and so it helps me. So during my run, I normally eat every 45 minutes, or I should say maybe about 3 to 4 miles
Right.
run. I take I eat one date, and during my usual runs, I like to eat Parle G glucose biscuits. that's that's my nutrition. I mean, because it does give so much of carb.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, and then of course. Basically that's what, of course, before the run I don't eat any vegetables because you're not supposed to eat too much fiber, so
Mhm.
that you avoid going to the restrooms while
Yeah. Yeah.
running. And so those are the
Yeah.
things about
Makes sense.
nutrition. you know
Makes sense.
yeah.
And
So
so no, those are great, first principles when it comes
right.
to running, and those are great reminders. A lot of us
Yes.
read about it, and as we continue to increase our run, many of us forget some of the
Right.
basics. So those are great reminders.
Yeah.
And so, in terms of your own personal journey, right? So you did have, you kind of start building your base. Uh, what about your full marathon? Did you kind of when did you do your first full marathon?
My first full marathon, I did it actually after about uh, 3 years after. That means my first full marathon was 2014.
Hmm.
Yeah, I did the Chevron,
Mhm.
and then then I started doing the Chevron. Then I did my New York. I'm wearing my New York City marathon
That's
proudly.
wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that was my last marathon in 2019. And then last year, of course, it was all virtual. So even the Chevron marathon, I deferred it to next year. So I did, after doing few of the half marathons, I started doing the full marathon.
Hmm.
And of course, it's full marathon is a totally a different ball game, I should say. And for that, apart from your physical training and everything, I think you have to also have mental training. Your mind has to be, because I think it is, I would say, really 80% mental and 20% physical when it
Mhm.
comes to running 26.2 miles.
Mhm.
So so mental training is that I can do
Mhm.
attitude has to be there, when you run,
Yeah.
and um, not to hit the wall. So for that, of course, you have to have good nutrition and hydration.
Yeah.
But the mindset, saying that I'm not going to give up, and that mindset, by dedicating my runs to a cancer patient,
Mhm.
that really helped.
Yeah.
Because if I lose, I'm letting them down,
Mhm.
if I have to dedicate my run to a cancer
Yeah.
patient. So that kind of a mindset you have to have, a
Mhm.
determination, a control over your mind, saying that, I'm not going to give up.
Yeah.
I mean, there are marathons that, the swag wagon would pass by me saying that, hey, you want a lift? And I'm like, no, I'm going to run.
Yeah.
If not run, I will walk and finish it.
Yeah.
Because for me, touching the finish line is more important than the time.
Mhm.
So as long as I finish within 6 hours, whatever the
Mhm.
time they
Mhm.
give,
Mhm.
that is my main thing.
Yeah.
And finish strong, so that I should have that energy even to celebrate
Mhm.
what I have done.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that mindset, and then of course, my mindset, it also encourages you. When the photographer is there, you give a smile and say, hey, I'm good, and the crowd
Yeah.
definitely helps in
Yeah.
that. And so, and actually, for that reason, I loved the New York City Marathon, because the crowd support is so much there that it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't hear the crowd when you're over the bridges, because you have to pass 5 boroughs, and 5 bridges will be there, and over the bridge. But halfway through the bridge, you will hear this roar of people, and it encourages you to run. So all this help in your mental strength, and emotional strength. So, and
Absolutely.
it's a very good feeling.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful feeling. So
Yeah. No, well said. Well said. And there's a lot of gold. I want to call out some gold here.
yeah.
And one is mindset. You talked about mindset. It's very, I completely, that resonates with me, because I've seen runners who are good runners,
Hmm.
and they've done their half marathon. They're able to do 14, 15 miles. Uh, but a lot of times they don't commit to a full marathon because they are scared.
Correct.
And I think that fear is coming from what you're referring to, like a mindset, which
Mhm.
you have. I like the way you have kind of approached it, which is to kind of give it a bigger purpose. And that's one way of doing it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Replace fear with purpose,
Correct.
and voila, and then you
Yeah.
have all that willpower to go out and get it done. So great tips
Right.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're afraid, find purpose.
Exactly.
Right?
No,
That's a great
actually,
mantra.
I mean, for me, I say, fear is really telling you, your intelligent mind telling you that, hey, be careful, you
Hmm.
know. So if you overcome that fear, then you
Hmm.
can do anything. And
Yeah.
just the fact when you finish your, the first marathon, it's like, hey, you conquered the whole world.
Hmm.
you know and that gives you confidence to do anything in life.
Hmm.
Basically, that's what I'm a very spiritual person. You can tell that. I mean, I I always connect that to a purpose. And
Hmm.
so when you feel that, hey, I've run that much miles, I've done marathons, I've done hiking and everything, so why should I fear about
Hmm.
life? So whatever
Yeah.
comes, you just overcome.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the basic thing.
Yeah. That's
So
a wonderful message.
yeah.
And So you did the New York Marathon, and recently you talked about hiking, and let's maybe good time to pivot into that.
Okay.
Um,
Hiking, I started just about 4 years back.
mm,
And basically, it started because the group that I run with and all, they said, hey, we have a hiking, we are going to Guadalupe Peak, and would you like to come and hike with us? And I said, sure, let me do that. And, honestly, to tell you that I think it really brought back my childhood because
mm,
I grew up in a small village back in India, and I my home was in the surrounded by mountains, and I come from the Sayadri mountain range. And so
mhm,
growing up, I always would climb the mountains or climb the hills and climb the trees, and that's how I grew up in
mhm,
in my childhood.
yeah.
And so when I did that very first hike, it just brought back my memories of my
Mm,
childhood, and that's how I think I fell in love with hiking, you know. So I'm like, oh wow, this is something nice, and it just gave me so much of happiness,
mm,
and I'm like, happiness is something people don't give it to you, or
mm,
it has to come within yourself, right? And so when I went into the mountains, I'm like, oh my god, this brought back my childhood, and I felt so comfortable, and I just love it. I love outdoors, basically. And
mhm.
so I think I just kind of got hooked on to that hiking journey, I should say.
Awesome.
So yeah,
That's awesome.
that's
So yeah. So tell us about that. So how you seem to have, a lot of people go to the mountains, they love it, and and then that's kind of over, right? But you're building, a building on it. You're taking on multiple peaks. You're making
right.
this a project. So here, let's hear about that. How are you
Uh,
doing that?
See, the thing is, because of my running and walking and all, and because of my strength training and everything, I I'm fit to do that. Like
Mm,
climbing mountains, but
mhm.
still climbing mountains needs a different approach.
Mhm.
So me and my my hiking buddies, I call them, uh, we started stairs climbing. So
Okay.
like one of the fitness thing that we do twice a week, we just climb up and down stairs. And so we do about 100 to 120 flights uh, in an hour and a half or something like that.
Wow.
Like in my office building, I have 13 floors. So I go up and down 8 times. That makes 100 flights. So like
Wow.
that, yeah. So twice a week, we have incorporated stair climbing,
Mhm.
because uh, one thing I don't believe in this step. What do you call that? The machine that you have in the thing, which does the
The
steps,
stairs.
and
Mhm.
yeah, stairs. And I don't believe in treadmill for
Mm.
running, because those are the ones, the impact is really bad on your knees, because it has
Okay.
the same movement and same muscles that you thump all the time, right?
Mhm.
But when you run outside or when you do the stairs, your it varies, like your
Mhm.
pace varies, so it's not that hard on your knees or on your body. So we started doing the stairs. And the other thing is, for going to mountains, it's the elevation that you have to count, right?
Mhm.
The elevation is very bad. I mean, we come here from, sea level. Houston is
Yeah.
sea level. And so we have absolutely, our body is not used to going on top of mountains. So for that, even these stairs help, because climbing 13 stories, we kind of go to the elevation where there is a little thinner air, that one. And then incorporating yoga, pranayam, into your workouts is very helpful. Because
Wonderful.
with pranayam, the thing that you have to do when you climb the hills or go on hiking is that your breathing techniques, so you have to be very um, very I mean, you have to follow certain breathing techniques, I should say. You have to breathe deeply for some time, and then you release the carbon
Yep.
dioxide from your lungs so that you can breathe better,
Yep.
because up there, where there is less oxygen, there's more carbon dioxide, and that's how you have to train. So breathing techniques is something that you have to incorporate, uh,
Hmm.
uh, you know and then, of course, hill training, which also
Hmm.
is there in marathon training also,
Hmm.
but that also helps, hill
Yep.
training. But I think the main thing is the steps,
Yep.
or the doing flights and breathing techniques, that really helps.
Wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful. I
yeah,
think those are gold, great tips, especially for folks who are. And
yeah,
I see that a lot of people do casual walking, and
correct.
if they want to move to hiking, which is such a
Right.
wonderful activity, like you
Yeah,
said, exploring the wilderness, exploring the mountains.
right,
But if these are great tips, like stairs and yoga and breathing, that would be a great takeaway for folks who want to move from just casual walking to
right,
some
exactly.
serious
Yeah.
hiking. And you've been up to some serious hiking, so let's hear about your adventures here. I mean, you are going
Uh,
to climb all the peaks in America, and you're also looking at the Appalachian Trail, so let's hear about
right.
that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, our group is just 5 people. Five women. Okay,
Hmm.
and
Wow.
I don't know whether last time when I talked to you, I mentioned this. We are very proud of ourselves that we do this hiking and running because, first of all, we are Indian women and we are older women, and uh, basically we are women who,
Yeah.
you don't see more Indian women out there. When you go
Yes.
hiking, you see more American or other Caucasian women, but not
Yes.
Indian women. So we kind of feel proud about ourselves that that we are doing this. So what we decided is, let's do. See, in Texas, Guadalupe Peak is the highest peak, which is really about 8,900, something like that,
Mhm.
feet
That's the Big Bend.
elevation.
That's the Big Bend National
Uh,
Park.
no, just around Big Bend, it
Mhm.
is there. Yeah. Big
Okay.
Bend National Park doesn't have that height. It's
Okay.
still like 6,000, so I may be wrong in my
That's
statistics,
fine.
but yeah. But highest peak in Texas is Guadalupe Peak, and so we were thinking of, let's go to the next level. So the next level is the 14ers, and so we went to Colorado, and we said, let's go and do Pikes Peak, which is our very first 14er. And so we started training on that, Pikes Peak, and then we hired a guide because it was our very first 14er, and not knowing what is going to be there, whether we will need oxygen at that level or how we are going to feel, and elevation sickness and altitude sickness. And so to deal with all that thing, we said, you know what, this time let's hire a guide. And so we hired a guide, and that really helped us. He gave us a lot of tips how to climb the mountains, especially above the tree line, what we should do, and to climb those rocks and the boulders and everything. So and how to breathe. And he's the one actually who told us that we have to have the breathing techniques incorporated in our workout, you know
Okay.
so those kind of tips that he gave. And then of course, using what kind of gears and all that we learned, to go to Pikes Peak. you know,
Wow.
using the hiking pole, and what kind of hiking boots you want. Do you want whether the which goes up to your ankle, and the weight of the thing, whether it is waterproof, and then the backpacks.
Hmm.
So because we have to carry backpacks, the water itself, when you carry about 2 to 3 gallons, liters of water, that itself weighs about 14, 15
Mhm.
pounds. And plus then you have to have your other gears, like we do take extra pair of shoes, and the socks, and then the food, the nutrition that we need to eat along the way. And then we have to have the rain gear, because suddenly on the mountains there will be so much of weather change. Then we
Yep.
need rain gear. So basically it comes to at least 18 to 20 pounds, and sometimes 22 pounds weight on you. So to uh, to carry that weight, we had to literally train ourselves. So what we would do is, even while walking at home, or while going for my runs and everything, I would carry 20, 22 pound weight on myself, and then walk. So to the extent that backpack feels like your body weight, you know so, and of course, if you go to REI, they will fit your backpack nicely, so that the weight distributes on your back evenly. So we practiced like that. We trained ourselves to carry 20, 25 pounds, actually, backpack. And now I carry my granddaughter on my back with my carrier, and then go for hiking. So that is my backpack training.
That's a
So
win-win.
yeah, it is win-win situation for me. Yeah, so those are the things that we had to do. And so we decided on, when we went for Pikes Peak, we said, hey, why not we do these, every state we will do the tallest mountain hikes,
Mhm.
so that's how the concept started. So we
Very
started
nice.
doing different mountains, like in Arkansas we did the Mount Magazine. And then what happened was, we were planning to do Mount Whitney.
Hmm.
And Mount Whitney, we had to, it's a lottery system. And so only 100 people can go per day
Okay.
on that thing. So we got into the lottery, and that was last August, during pandemic.
Mhm.
And we were still ready to go. But it so happened, just 2 weeks before we were to go Mount Whitney, there was a big earthquake. And so
Okay.
the earthquake, they shut down the trails, the hiking trails. But we had trained so much for that Mount Whitney, and we said, you know what are we going to do now? So one of my hiking buddies, she's also big into hiking. She said, she texted me. Actually, she was somewhere up north. She texted me saying, "Hey, Kanchan, why don't we do Appalachian Trail?" you know and so we said, yeah, we are ready for it, so why not we do, get do the Appalachian Trail. So the Appalachian Trail, if you know what it is, I mean, actually, for the
Yeah.
listeners, I can say that
Please.
Appalachian Trail goes through 14 states. It goes from Georgia to Maine, and the hiking trail is 2,193 miles, and it passes through 14 states. So there are through hikers who do hiking from, like a northbound hiking. They are called nobos, and the southbound hiking, they are called sobos. And Appalachian Trail hiking is a different culture by itself, I should say. And so there is like a Appalachian Trail Conservatory that you can be a member of, and then get all the information from them. But you go through these states, and you pass through so different mountains along that trail. And you also get, the reason I'm saying it's a different culture, because you also get what is called your trail name.
Oh,
You
really?
each one get a trail name. So my trail name is Passport, and my friend's trail name is Data because she's all into data, and my trail name is Passport because whenever I go to different countries, I like to hike. So I keep a passport with all the names and the stamps and everything like that. So I got the name Passport. So along the trail on Appalachian Trail, uh, you are called by that name.
Okay.
So I'm never called as Kanchan. So I'm known as Passport. So if I meet another hiker, you introduce yourself like, "Hey, my name is Passport." So
Wow.
it's a culture like that. And
Yeah.
along the Appalachian Trail, you have these the people who have done the trails. They know how difficult it is. So what they do is along the way they put these small stall kind of a thing, and they give you food, drinks, they give beer, they give fruits and all. So they supply to the hikers, and they encourage you. They are called trail angels,
Wow.
and so they give free food to them. So all this comes to kind of become a culture.
Yeah.
I should say it's a hiking culture by itself. So it's not like doing the 14ers or just a regular hiking. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's and we love it. I mean,
Yeah.
I just love it. Yeah. And you
Yeah.
go through different terrains.
Mm.
You go through, and depending on the season and the it's a very small window during the year. So
Mm.
you can start in March and kind of end in September or October at the most, because the snow starts, and it becomes very slushy. And
Yeah.
but the trails are very well maintained, very
Mm.
well maintained trails. Yeah. So
Beautiful. That's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
That's
And we
fascinating. I mean,
say,
it's almost like when we talk about hiking subculture, or running subculture, or even
yeah,
the ultra running subculture. You're always talking about humanity at its best, right?
exactly,
You know
exactly.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah,
and that's where I love the way you look at it, right? Because like you said, it's just not about doing a 14er. It's not an ego trip. It's something bigger,
yeah,
and I love the way you look at the bigger picture in everything you do. That's amazing,
right. Yeah,
right?
thank you.
That's
Yeah, it
amazing,
feels
and,
good.
and that's
Yeah,
that's something for all of us to take away, because one is to operate at a transactional level, the other is to look at the big picture, because that gives you longevity, it gives you ability
right,
to sustain and do bigger things, right? So
right.
that's a takeaway I would like to kind of, as a goal, just highlight.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. So it's
Wonderful.
it's yeah, it's really nice. And then we stay in the hostels while on the way, and so we kind of we are three girls. I mean, three women who do this. We call ourselves as Appalachian trios. So we three girls, we always stay in a hostel. I mean, there are
Hmm.
hostels which caters only for the hikers, and we
Hmm.
stay in the hikers. I mean, the hostels, and then we always get a shuttle. So the shuttle drops us to a particular point, and on the Appalachian Trail, they are called as gaps. So the gaps are the ones which is the access to the road, and so the
Hmm.
shuttle comes there and they picks us up and takes us to the hostel. So per day we may do like 9 miles hiking, or we may do 20 miles hiking. So
Hmm.
it depends on the gaps, how far
Hmm.
the gaps are, because there is no way we can stop in between. So
Right.
rain or shine, we have to just go through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So, what about safety, personal safety, from other human beings as well as wildlife? Is there something that you have to take care of when you're doing this kind of adventure
uh,
hikes?
wildlife, because these trails are I would say they are kind of heavy trafficked trails, at least during the hiking period. Okay. So every day when we hike, we would definitely meet at least 3 to 8 hikers during that time. So you can imagine that it's always there are people going on these trails, right? So the animals, I think, are kind of used to us. So we have seen bears passing by. We do see
Really?
snakes. We do
Oh,
see a lot of snakes,
okay.
but you have to be watching. Anyway,
Hmm.
you have to look down on, on where we
Yeah.
step, because there are so many rocks and gravel, and sometimes during the winter autumn season there will be so much of leaves, and under the leaves there will be so much of roots. So we
Yeah.
normally look at the ground and walk, so you kind of avoid the snakes.
Hmm.
And the pole always helps, where we put the step. So the putting the pole, that noise itself
Yeah.
scares the snakes away. But the bears, of course, the 80 trail has more bears. Of course,
Okay.
the Pacific Trail has more mountain lions and everything, but the
Okay.
Appalachian Trail has more bears. Um, there are no mountain lions at this side, yeah. And the bears kind of, they run away.
But these
So,
are
and the
black
yeah,
bears. These are not
black bears.
grizzlies.
No, no,
Black
no, not
bears. Yeah.
grizzlies. Yeah, black bears. Yeah, but human beings, what can I say? You just have to be friendly with them. You just have to say, hey, when did you start your hike? Are you a through hiker? I mean, this is
Yeah.
where have you come from?
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
how long you've been doing this? And, basically these kind of conversation. And of course, people, the through hikers they look kind of scary and stinky because they have not taken shower. The men have real long beard, and because they literally live on the mountains, with the camp on the mountains tent. So you just have to be friendly with them. And so far, touch wood, we have not come across any you know any strange people, I should say. They're
Yeah.
basically very, very friendly people.
Yeah.
Their main goal is hiking.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are accidents have happened, if
Mhm.
you things like that. There are deaths have happened, but you know it's
Yeah.
safe. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's thanks for
Yeah,
sharing that, because I
right,
think that's important for the viewers to understand. Some
right,
of this
yeah,
is exaggerated, right?
yeah, oh yeah,
And
definitely.
so once
So,
you start doing it, the the
yeah,
the pleasure and the joy you get out of it is a huge positive. And there may be
yes,
everything has a risk involved,
right, it's
but some of
right,
the
yeah.
risks are overblown. So
Yes, yes.
thanks for
And
sharing that.
and I think you have to have confidence in you, that my philosophy is like, after all, what is going to happen? We are going to die, right? I mean, ultimately, everybody is going to die. So it's, if you have fear of woods or animals or people, then, it's hard to hike. So you have to go with a faith that, hey, everything is going to be fine. The weather is going to cooperate with you. The God is with you, and that's all we need.
Yep.
So, yeah.
That's deep wisdom, by the way. That's a lot of wisdom.
Yeah.
You know, I think
So,
if when you've reached a point where, when you can accept reality of that at that level,
yeah,
that you get to live very wise, and not everybody gets to that point while they're
I
alive.
hope. I
You know,
hope so. Like I
yeah,
said,
so that's great.
I'm a spiritual person, so I believe in spirituality. So,
Yeah, yeah, that was
yeah.
wonderful, wonderful. Those are very powerful words. Great,
So,
advice. And I think your life reflects that. You're living a full life. You're living
so
you're joyful. So I think that's what you get. Living from that level of deep wisdom and spirituality. So thank you for sharing
yeah,
that.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, and
So,
also I think what you're doing as an example for South Asian women, Indian American South Asian women, to kind of take on, get out there, I think a lot of South Asian women get stuck with too much of
Right.
the family obligations and not too much on
Right.
self care.
Yeah.
And I think what you folks are doing is very important for everybody to
Right.
see, so others can take on and
Yeah.
invest in themselves, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I like to share my experience with them and what they have to do to have, you know, have a good well-being of their body as well as mind. And also, I like to encourage, like I said earlier, I don't care about my timing on the, when I run. So if somebody wants to run with me and say that, hey, this is my first run, I'm ready to walk with them and just encourage them up to the finish line. If somebody wants to join in hiking, I say, hey, let's go, let's do it. And so I encourage them and take them with me for short hikes, and then they like it, and so then they will join us for the other hiking.
Yeah, yeah,
So things like that, it's nice that
yeah.
to encourage others and inspire them. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
That's very beautiful.
So
Awesome. So so I guess what's on the next, my question was going to be what's next on your horizon? Seems like Appalachian is going to keep you busy for some time.
yes, yes,
Is there
yes.
anything else you're up to? Is there anything
No,
else you're working on?
not really. Like you said, the Appalachian, my goal is before I turn 70, which is another 5 miles. I want to finish the 2,193 miles.
Wow.
I mean, we have the the Appalachian trios have just finished only the 170 miles right now, which is
Mhm.
finishing Georgia and part of North Carolina and a little
Mhm.
bit of Tennessee. So our goal is finishing. Actually, it's my goal finishing because they are much younger than me, so they have more time. But I
Mm.
would like to finish Appalachian Trail within 5 years. So that means I have to do at least 3 to 500 miles of Appalachian Trail per year, which
Wow.
yeah, that's the main thing.
Well,
And the because I'm leaning more towards that, I think I may do just maybe one or two marathons, more
yeah.
of half marathons than the full marathons. And what I realized is hiking also has uh, decreased my pace in
Okay.
running. Because I think because we use different muscles, the running muscles are not getting too much training. So I guess I go on a much slower pace now. So I think my goal is to do more of a half marathons
Mhm.
than full. I used to do even like mm, 6 marathons per year, you know.
Mm.
So now I think I will do maybe two, but more
Mm.
hiking, you know.
Yeah.
That's and take care of my grandbaby and
Yeah.
go hiking with her, carrying her on my back.
She
Enjoy the
she
nature.
she's very lucky to have a grandmom like you. She's going to be inspired by you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
So,
Terrific. So, I think we covered fair bit of ground about your journey, and so very fascinating. Definitely, you don't have to try to inspire anybody. You are inspiring already. You just have to be
thank
you,
you.
and others can get inspired. So, thank you for what you're doing, and continue to
Yeah.
spread the light, the joy, and the wisdom that you are. That's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So,
Thank
I have a last part of my conversation is usually a fun Q&A round that I have with my guests.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
so, so you ready for that?
Well, okay. I'll try my best to answer.
Yeah. So let's see. No controversial questions. All about.
Okay.
I
Okay.
won't
That's
get you in trouble. I won't get you in trouble.
okay. Well, if I don't know, I will say I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the first one. You ready?
Sure.
So the first one. A food that you hate. Any food that others usually like. Something that you don't like, but others are usually like. Food
Food that I hate, which
that
others
others
like.
that others like.
Oh my God. Uh, Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit. Wow.
Because I love jackfruit and mangoes and everything, and dragon fruit is kind of in that category, but I don't like
Okay,
dragon
you don't
fruit.
like it. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. What's your favorite junk food?
My favorite junk food. You know what? I hardly eat junk food, but I think my favorite junk food is chips.
Potato chips or banana
potato,
chips?
potato chips. I think more banana chips.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, they're not too junk. They're still pretty
yeah,
good.
but if they are fried, if they are fried, they are junk food.
Yeah. Your favorite junk food is not all that junk.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, good one. What's your favorite fitness gadget?
My fitness gadget. I think my fitness gadget is, I should say, the TRX
Hmm.
and the Bosu ball, two of them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Both for
So,
balance and strength, right? Core
yeah,
strength.
exactly.
Wow.
Core strength.
Wow. That's a first. That's a first in my show. Nobody's ever said that
Oh,
as a
really?
favorite. Yeah, most people have a watch or it's the Jeep. Most people think the watch is the favorite. So this is very
Oh,
unique.
really? No,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't do anything to me much.
yeah. That's
Well,
very
it,
unique.
it does help me, but
Yeah, yeah. No, that's right. It's
yeah.
very unique. So a bad habit you like to change.
Mm, sleeping late at night.
Okay.
Because I like to sleep early because I like to get up in the morning and go for my runs and all.
Yeah.
So invariably, my biological clock wakes me up at 4:30 in the morning, and then at 6 o'clock I want to be out. Uh, but invariably, I sleep at like 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock. I don't know
Hmm.
what I do, but so I want to. I think that's my bad
Good one.
habit.
Good one. Good one. What's a surefire way to distract you when you're doing something serious?
What distracts me?
Yeah. What's the easiest way to distract? What's your easiest distraction?
Hmm. Right now, my grandbaby.
I thought I thought you would say that.
If she's there, I mean, I'll stop
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But she knows when I work out and all. She kind of comes and then she knows my trainer's name, and so she will show my the equipment or my the steps or the bench or anything, and she will say, Sammy, that means my trainer. So she knows, and she kind of likes to play with the with the ball and everything. So yeah, so
Wonderful.
she's not really a distraction, but she is kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah, yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Wonderful. You did well. And we learned a few more things about you. Thanks for sharing that. And we're kind of coming to the end of
And
our conversation here.
okay. Okay.
But before we call it wraps, I'd like to give you the last word. Is there anything else you want to tell the viewers before we wrap up?
Uh, I well, all that I can say is, be consistent
Hmm.
in what you do, and have a purpose, have a
Mhm.
goal, you know. Then only you can do things better.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
don't stop because you got injured or whatever it is. Don't stop. It may be a short period of injury or this thing, but then go and do things and be consistent in your doing things and be determined.
yeah.
So
Beautiful. Coming from you, those are very
yeah.
deep words of wisdom. And thank you so much again
Yeah.
for your time. I'll let
Oh,
you go and have you enjoy the rest of the day, and we shall be in touch.
thank you, and thank you very much for having me on this. Really enjoyed. One day I should meet you personally. Because we've
Yes,
been just. Thank you so much,
absolutely. Pleasure is
and
mine.
all the
Thank you.
best to you.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.